So in the previous few videos, we've talked about how to get to a command line through Linux, Mac, Windows, Chromebook, iPad, and pretty much any which way you want to do it. Now it's time to actually start messing around with this stuff. And I promised you we'd start with something fun. And although the primary purpose of this video is to get you more productive and to let you actually be able to get work done through a command line or a text interface, today we're just going to do some fun stuff, some graphics work. We're going to talk about how to install software, how to uninstall software, how to get help on software, and then we're going to look at 3 fun little command line programs to make your life a little more interesting. So let's get on that. Okay, so I've got a little outline here. Installing and removing Linux apps and playing with Figlet and AsciiView. Well, that's where we're going to go with this. So let me get out of Vim here. Okay, first thing we need to do is to know how to install software. And we did a little bit of this back in, I think, the very first video with sudo apt-get install. And that's great, so let's do some more of that. First thing we want to do, if you didn't already do it, is sudo apt install and then package name. And the package name is whatever the name of the thing that you want to install is. Apt is the package manager for Ubuntu, at least. Other versions of Linux have other things, Pac-Man and a few other things like that. But since we're running Ubuntu, we're going to use apt. It's also sometimes called apt-get and apt other things, but just plain old apt works. So sudo, as we mentioned video 3, I believe, is a thing that allows a regular user to install software, because normally you don't have that kind of permission. The root user can do anything they want. The plain user can do some things, but not others. The sudo is super user do, is what that stands for. And it allows a plain old user like me to install software. So you have to use that sudo command first. So what we have is sudo, give yourself extra permission, apt, run the package manager, and then the thing we want to do is install something. And in this case, we're going to install this one called Neofetch. Now we did this back in video 1 or 2. We're going to do it again just to drive the point home. And it should ask for a password. I already typed my password just a few minutes ago, so it didn't ask. It will ask for your password before you can do this. So you got to know what your password is. Okay, so on there you can see reading package list done, building dependency tree, and a bunch of other stuff there. And there's no error messages, so it worked. Just to make sure it worked, we can type in the command that we think we just installed. And there it is. Gives us our big Ubuntu logo all in text and some information about our operating system. It's not really useful, but it gives us some information and shows us that everything's working okay. But once you install a bunch of apps and programs, eventually you're going to run into something you don't like and you want to get rid of it. You can do the same thing, almost the same thing, to uninstall the programs. Sudo apt remove Neofetch. Remove is like uninstalling something. And it does the same thing. Do you want to continue down at the bottom? Yes. But you don't want to install anything that you're going to need, but that's obvious. Yes, and it does some things here and it deletes it. Just to make sure it went away, we'll type the command in again. Yep, error message, no such file or directory. It's gone, we've deleted it. Of course, it's easy enough. In most terminals, you can just use the up and down arrow keys to go through your history, or you can retype the whole thing again. Sudo apt install Neofetch. And since we just typed our password a few minutes ago, we probably won't need to do it again. So now I've reinstalled it another time, and there it is, it's back. So that's basically how you install and uninstall apps in Linux. It's pretty easy if you know what the thing is you're looking for. I already knew I wanted Neofetch. Google is helpful for that kind of thing. Go out and find the different things you want to add. Now, Neofetch, you type the command and the thing comes on the screen. There's not much to it. Other apps are more complicated. Sometimes they take command line parameters or there's instructions. And how do you know what it is you're supposed to do? Almost all command line apps have an instruction manual. And here's how you do that. If you want to know more about Neofetch, for example, you can type in man Neofetch, manual for Neofetch, the book. And they almost always will come up with a screen full of stuff like this. Neofetch, a fast, highly customizable system info script. And then it's got some options. Neofetch option, okay. A CLI system information tool written in Bash, Neofetch displays information about your system next to an image, your OS logo, or any ASCII file of your choice. And then it gets into some different options you can do. And I'm not going to go through these because they're not really important. But you can turn off some of the readouts, you can turn on other things. And as you can see, there's a lot of options, even just in something as simple as Neofetch. Change the colors and underlines, add bars, a lot of things. And of course you can use your arrow keys to move backwards and upwards and just scroll through it. Okay, enough of that. That got boring quick. To get out of it, H for help or Q to quit. Quit. Okay, so that works with almost everything. Okay, now I said we'd do some more fun type things. And the one thing that most people complain about with the command line is that there's no graphics. Not quite true. There is. There are things you can add to well, sort of do graphics. Sudo apt install. Here's one called Figlet. Just a really fun little thing called Figlet. And it'll install. We install it just like the other things. Sudo apt install, and it's called Figlet. Get all that stuff on the screen. And all you do is, well, let's just look and see what the instructions are. Man, Figlet. Ugh, that's complicated looking. Okay, there we go, usage. Just start up Figlet, type Figlet in lowercase, and then type whatever you want. Alternatively, okay. Okay, so type Figlet, and something after that. Put my name in there. And there it is. It made my name in big letters. And that's all it does. It just changes your text into a banner. Just a fun little thing. You can put in longer stuff. Figlet. This is the neatest text program I've ever seen in my whole life. Oh, what have I done? I think I messed it up with that quotation mark. Yep, there we go. This is the neatest text program I've ever seen in my whole life. Fills the screen. Now, it's not terribly useful, but a lot of people put these into things like login scripts so you can see your name, and it's kind of neat. We'll play around with login scripts another time, but if you ever want to make your text big, there you go. And if you don't like it, you can sudo apt remove Figlet. Okay, now the next thing I want to show you is one called AsciiView. And I'm going to do this not the wrong way exactly, but I'm going to skip a step and show you what happens when you get into some trouble with this one. First of all, it's called AsciiView, but the command is not called that. Sudo apt install. The command is called aview. And I'm going to install that. Now what aview does, or AsciiView does, it will take a JPEG or a graphic image on your computer and turn it into text characters. When I did the Neofetch a few minutes ago, it made that Ubuntu logo out of text image letters and stuff. This will do the same thing, only with a photo. And I've got some photos here. Brian, cat, and puzzle. Now, here's where I said I was going to do it wrong. The commands, well, let's look at the commands here for a second just to see how this works. Man, AsciiView, and a high-quality ASCII art image viewer. And it says right up at the top, synopsis, AsciiView filename.p something m. And the instructions a little below that says AsciiView can only show files in the PNM format. Well, I don't know if you noticed it, but my photos were all JPEGs. They won't work. Let's try it and see what happens. Invalid magic, not P something M, family format. The problem with AsciiView is it was designed way back before JPEG was even a thing. PNM is a really old clip art type format that was designed for black and white images back in the, I don't know, 70s or 80s, long time ago. So what we need to do is convert these files to PNM. And AsciiView doesn't do that, so we're going to install something else that we're not going to go into a lot of detail about today, but it's really helpful. It's called ImageMagick. And notice I spell it in the ImageMagick with a K. Sudo apt install ImageMagick. And this is doesn't do a whole lot by itself. It's not much fun, but it's got a bunch of graphic libraries that'll be useful for other things, other times. So it's a good thing to just have on your system, even if you're not going to use it right away. So sudo apt install ImageMagick, just like before. Doesn't take long, and there you go. Now, if you want to, you can do it manual with that too. And this is a long one. It's a really complicated app. It does a lot of stuff. That first one there, convert, is what we're really looking for though. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this one today. We'll do more of that later. But for now, I want to convert that file. So I've just added the command convert. And I'm going to take brian.jpg and make brian. What did it want? PNM. And if we look again, there's a Brian JPEG and a Brian PNM. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing with the other two. Well, what did I do there? Oh. Okay, so we did that. So now we're going to look at these, and I should have two versions of each one. Now, we can't look at text directly on text mode, but I can load these up for you because I can do that. There's what Brian JPEG is supposed to look like. Kind of ridiculous, but there we go. The cat picture looks like this. It's my cat sleeping in the living room there. And puzzle is the picture of a puzzle that I bought. So this is what they look like in a normal, typical graphic screen. What we're going to look at, though, now using AsciiView, or AsciiView, is their text versions. Oh, except I typed in the JPEG. PNM. Yeah. Okay, that's kind of scary looking. But if you look at the original picture I did, right here, you can kind of see the shoulders and the face in there. It's there. It's deep down in there. Okay, wow, that's kind of horrifying. All right, let's try the cat. AsciiView cat.pnm. I know what the pictures look like. I can kind of see them, but it's not great. And AsciiView puzzle. Yeah, that's not much at all. Okay, so we can do these in slightly higher resolution. You can zoom in and zoom out with the plus and minus keys. It's got it there under the controls. So what I'm going to do is get out of that and do one of these again. And use the plus. Well, that just makes it smaller. But if I had a bigger window, by zooming in like this, I would actually get a higher definition picture, higher resolution. Okay, it's not great, I'll be honest with you, but it does some neat stuff. But so far in this video then, we've learned how to install software, uninstall software, read instructions for software, install Neofetch and uninstall it, play around with Figlet and large texts, install ImageMagick, and convert graphics images, JPEGs, to other things. And you can do that almost the same way for other things too. If you wanted those files, brian.jpg, to be brian.png, it'll do that. It took a moment, but it did it. And boom, now we've got the PNG file in there. And that can be useful for lots of different things, especially if you're working on a website or something and need to change graphics formats. It'll do that right there for you. And then we played around with AsciiView, which isn't terribly useful, but it can be fun. And if you're as old as I am, you can remember back in the day when people took images and printed them out on big banners and stuff using text images like this. And it was really hokey, but it kind of nostalgic, which a lot of the stuff we're doing on here is like that. It's like back in the day, this is all we had. Well, that's not the way it is anymore. But that's it for this video. We've installed a few things. We've played around a little bit. And next week, we'll get into something a little more practical, probably. But if you can't wait till next week, there's always Going Text, mastering the power of the command line. And this is available at Amazon or Barnes & Noble or anywhere that you buy ebooks or paperbacks. Give it a pick up. Like and subscribe, and I'll have something new for you next week. See ya.